What's up, guys? I'm Bit2000 yugioh, and I'm your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero. So what if I told you guys that pendulums are actually going to be better in Master Rule 5 than they are right now? Stick around. Alright, so, as I implied in the intro, guys, I've decided that this would be the video I would talk about for the Master Rule 5 change that's going to be happening. Now, most of you, I'm sure, are aware. I'm sure the bigger channels already talked about it, but just in case the handful of you that have been living under a rock came across my video of all videos, Master Rule 5 has basically changed how Xyz, Fusion, and Synchro works. Basically, the only decks that have to pay attention to the Link Zone or the Extra Deck Monster Zone now will be Link monsters and Pendulum monsters. So you guys are like, but Ben, Pendulums are still affected by this. True. But for today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 Pendulum decks that are actually going to get better in this format. So, without further ado, alright, so the first deck that's on our list is going to be, you guys probably guessed this one right off the bat, the DDD deck. Now, this one had to be the obvious one right off the bat, and the reason why is because DDD ultimately is the one pendulum deck that kind of uses all the summoning techniques in one techniques. And yes, I know that's an Arc 5 reference there, but you guys get the point. This whole thing is, this is one of the few pendulum decks that uses all the different summoning types, including Link now, because they also have a Link monster coming too, I think. It might already be here, but I don't remember. You guys can't tell I don't play DDD, right? Oh, but yeah, so there you go. That's the first deck, and now the reason why it's first is because it was the most obvious. Everybody is hyping this deck right now. Alright, so for the next one, if the background doesn't give it away, we have, that's right, IndyMeon. This particular deck, the reason why is because IndyMeon is just one of those decks that it doesn't really matter like what format. It just seems it's going to be one of them. And I know you guys can see Mythical Beast Jackal King on here. Well, you can't see him because he's behind my face, but that's okay. You can see his name. The point being is that in this particular deck, the reason why it's so good is, and the reason why I'm including it is because they're basically, it's the Pendulum spell counter deck essentially. IndyMeon probably is I would argue the most powerful pendulum like engine. So most like not to quote Triff too much, but like I see like in Triff's videos, oftentimes he is always using the IndyMeon package, whatever pendulum deck he's playing. So yeah, I definitely am gonna have to go with this one being one of the better options. Alright, now for the next one, we have another spellcaster one, and this one's probably a little more familiar for you guys, and that is Pendulum Magician. They have their own Xyz monsters. Also, this one makes Zark variant. Still a very playable card, especially because some of these magicians count as, you know, other cards. I'm pretty sure Double Iris is banned, but that's okay. We have ban lists coming out in the future, so who knows? We could see this guy come back. I don't know. I'm not going to make any predictions just yet. It might not be the right one. I don't remember. But the point is, this is basically the deck that it's another pendulum deck that's just been able to be boosted by this because it's one of those ones that just it uses other types of monsters. That's going to be the big recurring theme. But a lot of guys, I'm showing you some that you may have thought of and some you may not have. That's kind of the point of this video. So Pendulum Magicians is number 3. For the second one on the list, we have, that's right, oh yeah, speeding in here at number 2 is Metal Foes. And the big thing, it's the big reason why this deck is so powerful is going to be Super Poly. Super Polymerization just enables this deck to do so much, and now not having to be stuck in one zone means you won't have to give up other fusion material monsters. Like, so one of the things that I've experienced, because I'm actually more familiar with this particular Pendulum deck, because this is the one I really liked and didn't get to play until after it wasn't meta anymore, because the cards were stupid expensive. But the cool thing about this deck is it has super poly viability. That's why you're seeing Kryptonite and Adamante here, because these are the two targets primarily. Obviously, every one of these decks will still use Electromite, because Electromite is a plus, let's face it. All of these decks will use it, but this particular build also uses fusion monsters, and fusion monsters are some of the coolest monsters in the game, in my opinion. And Super Poly is just broken, and one of the things that, like I was trying to say earlier, is that I've come across is like, I will play a fusion monster of one of the ones that's, to say, the Alchemist, right? But I have to give up him to Super Poly into Crimsonite, and I don't want to do that. Well, with this new rule change, I won't have to. I'll get to keep my Relinquish monster, and I'll get to also Super Poly all the way your stuff away. So that's really powerful, really useful. Alright, and then the number one deck that I think nobody is talking about, especially because this Pendulum deck is going to get a huge boost. Everyone's thinking about heroes when it comes to this change, but I'll tell you right now, this is the deck you should be worried about. That's right, Dino Missed. Why should you be afraid of Dino Missed? Here's why. Or B, if you're a Dino Missed player, which I'm sure many of you are, because it's another one of those budget-esque Pendulum decks that I loved, because I liked cheap decks. It has a Rhoda, it has, all sorts of stuff, but it also has level 4 water monsters and level 5 machine monsters. I think you guys are starting to figure out where I'm going with this. That's right. They got the totally awesome Bahamut Shark package and Cyber Dragon Infinity. Now, assuming that the next ban list doesn't just completely murder Bahamut Shark, which is a possibility, I will say that. I think that if once Konami realizes that this change has happened, I think that some things will, depending on how prominent it is. I'll hold my breath on that, because I think it'll depend on how prominent we see something like this. Like, are we going to see Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome in like every extra deck now? But we'll see. We won't know yet. But this is one of those decks that can utilize both of these cards. Cyber Dragon Infinity is a negator, a big time attacker, and spot removal. On top of that, you have Bahamut Shark Totally Awesome, easy negation, big monster to attack with. Same kind of difference. It's not spot removal like Infinity is, but basically, and not to mention, the Dino Missed archetype has its own compulse. So, between all these different, like its own Rhoda, its own Stratos, its own, you know what I mean, like all the ability, it's got its own Armades in archetype Armades. So basically what I'm getting at is this is one of those Pendulum decks that a lot of people are sleeping on right now, and you guys shouldn't sleep on it, because you guys know me. I don't pay attention as much to the meta decks. I pay attention enough to learn how to play them so I can learn how to beat them, and nothing more. Alright, I play them to learn to beat them. That's it. 9 times out of 10, I don't even enjoy a meta deck. Or by the time I get to enjoy it, it's not a meta deck anymore. Like Metaphos, it was a meta deck once upon a time, but I couldn't afford it then, and then once nobody wanted to play it anymore and it was cheap and available for me to buy, I bought the whole deck for like $20. And it's still an archetype that I enjoy now. So there you go, guys. This has been my crazy top 5 decks that I think or top 5 Pendulum decks, I should say, that I think are going to be good in the Master Rule 5 change. I think if yugioh Pro, you're going to see me mostly play the current MR4. I will play Master Rule 5 as soon as yugioh Pro updates to do that, because yugioh Pro is where I prefer to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So that being said, this is what I've got. As soon as they get that update, though, I will immediately start playing that way. I'm hoping that the people who run yugioh Pro they'll just add it as soon as they can, because I think that this change will be a lot easier than the change with when it was link format, because they had to change up how the board looks. They also, on top of adding like the code to change where the cards go. Well, for some of this stuff, they'll be able to go, okay, we'll use some of the old code. At least I think. Don't quote me on that. I don't really know code, but I'm logically thinking here. As far as I know, I would think they could mix match some of the old code with the new, and then they don't have to change the way the board looks at all. So hopefully yugioh Pro will add Master Rule 5 to the game very quickly. And as soon as they do, we'll switch to that, because I only go to tournaments in Texas. So, because that's the state I live in here in the States. So, because I only go to Texas tournaments, it's not likely that I'm going to be going to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament anytime soon. But this is my crazy top 5. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're enjoying these crazy top 5s, drop me one of these. And yeah, I'm Benjamin Yugioh, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.